All right. Hi, so hopefully you just watched the pome fruit pruning video in my yard over there. I was working with a small pear tree right here. Now we're gonna work on a stone fruit. This is a semi-dwarf plum tree. You'll notice it looks like a pretty big mess. I was gone last year, so I didn't do any winter pruning last January or any summer pruning a year ago on this tree. So that means I've kind of have to work backwards, take some time to correct this. Getting a tree into the form that you want is not something in general that happens all in 1 year. It can take 3 or 4 years to get back to the form that you want, the responses from the tree that you want. So this one, it was in decent shape before, so I expect this will take me another year or two to be in the position where I was before I left. So to start, gonna make sure tools are clean, not spreading any disease that I picked up on that pear tree a minute ago over here. I always want to start with a sanitizing spray and take a look around at what's going on here. So you can see, right, we've got some really tall branches. Some of this stuff had a lot of growth this year. So that's a huge piece of growth right there, right? Well over a foot, 2 feet maybe. So that means that we need to knock down this vigor because things are getting out of hand. This is a response to not enough pruning last year. Remember, stone fruits in our area primarily get summer pruned. They're quite vigorous as is, so we're looking to both reduce the vigor and avoid any disease problems, both through cleaning our tools and through not pruning in the wintertime when it's consistently wet all the time. So we take a look around, and again, we have that same idea in our head. How much is about a third of this tree, the growth here, so that we can not take too much. Remember that what you see here is reflected below ground in the root mass, and that drip line of the tree tells us how far out we need to be watering so those roots all receive some of that irrigation water. So there's a lot of cuts that need to be made here, but in the interest of showing you something new from last time, I want to start with how to use the pruning saw. So there's all different styles of pruning saw, but the idea is the same. And the concept, right, just like your other tools, you want to start clean. And then I wanted to show you how to make the 3-cut, right? A 3-step cut for larger diameter material using this tree as an example. So I'm using it on this part right here, which is maybe could be done with the loppers, but not so cleanly. So I'm looking at this piece right here, and that is, right, probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter. So the loppers could maybe do that, but it's got a tight angle right here. So I think that the best way to go about this is going to be with my saw. So my plan here is to remove this thicker piece and allow this one to become my main outward facing branch for this area, because as you can see here, this stuff is all going straight up and down, and instead of doing a lot of tie downs with weights, I'm just going to remove some, which is going to reduce that weight, and then it'll be much easier for me to weight down just a couple branches instead of 8 or 10 here. So the idea when you're removing large material is that there's a lot of weight over here that's coming off, and to avoid peeling the bark away, ripping it down the side of your branch, you need to do something to break that surface tension of the bark. So usually you want to start a little bit away from where your final cut will be, because the 3rd cut will actually take care of that. So out here, I'm going to start and just make the marking of the 1st cut. So move some of these leaves. You can see here, hopefully, this is where I'm going to start. Now the 2nd cut So this way, we're getting rid of the surface tension of the bark. If we were to just cut straight through here, as this comes down, we're going to pull this bark down and we're going to leave a big peeled section that's going to be a possible spot for disease, pathogens to get in there. It's going to take more energy for the tree to heal, right? And that's going to be energy that could otherwise go into fruit, could go into roots, could go into new leaves elsewhere. So that's not kind. So then the second cut you do from beneath, and you either go immediately to the left or immediately to the right of cut 1, depending upon where you want the branch to break. So because of the orientation here, I want this branch to break down and away. So I'm going to put the undercut a little to the inside, to the right of cut number 1, so that when I pull down, this thing comes away. If you wanted to break it the other direction, you would put the cut on the other side of cut 1. So cut 2, from the bottom, and then when you meet cut 1, there's a little bit of a stub there, right? And that falls away, just off and to the side, just like I wanted. Now you see here, it's a little bit rough, right? And that's not clean, right? That nub has that same chance for infection as any other poorly pruned cut, but we expect that with the 3-cut system, and that's why the third cut comes now, where I'll now go parallel to this branch angle and make a straight cut here without the weight of that whole branch. I'm at much lower risk for peeling this bark away. So I can just cut straight through and remove all this dirty, unclean part here of that pruning cut. And please be careful of your hands as you're doing this. If you're working with trees that have thorns, watch where you're putting your hands or pushing your body into it. All right, so cut 3 cleans it up, gives you a nice straight edge, right, which is much easier for the tree to heal, right? The tree just seals over that wound here, and then now this is my new branch for this side of the tree coming out this way. So you can see, in doing so, not only did I show you how to make the triple cut for large material, but I also took off a big piece of this. So my third, right, is not too far away. So I've only got a small amount left. I'd say right there, that's maybe 15 to 20%. So I've got, you know, less than half that amount of what you see there remaining. So I'm gonna, of course, start with my dead and dying, damaged, diseased wood. Those don't count, get rid of that. And then I'm gonna go for more of these tall shoots up here. So this is a semi-dwarf. So this thing could grow to be, you know, 15 feet tall. So my arm plus this 2-foot pruning saw, that's about 9 feet. Right? So there could be another 6 feet on top of that. I don't wanna deal with that. I have to get up on a ladder to prune the top of this thing later. So I'm trying to keep the height, you know, no taller than it currently is. So that means many of these shoots up on top need to come down. And because we're summer pruning, we're going to thin them out back to another branch, right? All the way out, rather than head them and get some growth out of the nodes further down the branch. So that's my goal with this tree. Remove the D's and then lower the height. Keep my center open as much as possible. You can see there's a few coming in here that need a little bit of attention to keep that center open, and then pay attention to other problems, like I've got some crisscross branches here, right? I've got a lot of mess going into the same spot right here. So those are things I'm going to deal with. And then same thing here, we've got crisscrossing, which we don't need. We just need one branch taking up each available spot of sunlight. And down below, right, we've got a little bit of disease problem on the leaves, but nothing too bad here that I see. And then This one, you'll notice, is about 18 inches up where I made that first pruning cut. Got this branch coming off to the side. It decided to go straight up, so I made another cut here that forced some branches off to the other side, another 8 or 10 inches up. So the longer you wait to do that, the taller your tree is going to get before it branches out, which is mean the higher you need to reach to do what I'm doing now. So keep that in mind for the future for any type of tree. So this is a plum. Plums fruit on the base of wood from last year, 2-year wood, right? So new growth here, down to this spot. So 1 year, 2 year, and we expect to see fruit forming on spurs here, and older, further back, we could also see fruit forming there. What we won't see is way up here on the new stuff. You can see this has got some holes in it, right? It's very green. So those are things that are easy candidates for removal. So I'm gonna take the camera off, make a few cuts here, and then show you what's left in thinking about how to approach this for the future.